The next portion of the survey are survey questions, the meat of this survey. It gathers the respondents' opinions on a variety of topics. All questions will require the respondent to pick a provided answer option. However, occasionally they're open ended questions. Be sure to read each question and answer word for word, adjusting your reading speed based on your respondent. It is okay if you stumble while reading. Just back up and read that sentence again from the beginning. You want to watch out for DNR, or do not read answers and follow up questions. Throughout your surveys, you'll see information in parentheses, in bold print or print of a different color. Partners, those are directionals or prompts for you to know how to proceed with your surveys appropriately. They should not be read to your respondent. Partners, this is an example of survey questions.
Thinking about elections, including school, local, and primary elections, how many of them have you voted for over the past few years? None of them? Less than half of them? About half of them? Most of them? Or all of them?
Most of them.
In November of this year, we will be holding elections for several offices, including President and Congress. Thinking ahead to those elections, how likely would you say that it is you will vote? Would you say extremely likely, very likely, somewhat likely, or not at all
Extremely likely, extremely likely.
Many states now allow voters to more easily vote early or by mail. Thinking ahead to November, how likely would you say it is that you will take advantage of these early voting or voting by mail if you're eligible in your state? Would you say extremely likely?
Extremely likely.
In most general elections, which answer best describes how you voted? Straight Democratic, mostly Democratic, a few more Democrats than Republicans, about equally for... Would you say that as a result of recent government policies, people like you are financially better off compared to a year ago, financially worse off compared to a year ago, or have recent government policies not made an impact on people like you financially?
Well, I'm not really sure.
Do you approve or disapprove of the job Donald Trump is doing as president?
Disapprove.
Strongly or somewhat?
Strongly.
Next, I'm going to read you a list of names. Please tell me if you have a favorable or unfavorable impression of each one. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
Favorable.
Somewhat or very.
Somewhat.
United States Senator from California, Kamala Harris.
Favorable.
Somewhat or very.
Somewhat.
United States Senator from Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren.
Very favorable.
Former Vice President Joe Biden.
Favorable.
Somewhat or very.
Oh, very.
Former Democratic gubernatorial nominee from Georgia, Stacey Abrams.
I think somewhat favorable.
If the 2020 general election for president were being held today, would you vote for the Republican Donald Trump or the Democrat Joe Biden?
Joe Biden.
Would you say you definitely support Biden, or could you still change your mind?
No, would definitely.
If the 2020 general election for Congress was being held today, would you vote for the Republican candidate or the Democrat candidate in your congressional district?
Democrat.
Definitely, or would you say you'd be able to change your mind?
No, definitely would vote Democrat.
Thinking ahead to the general election in November, with Donald Trump as the Republican nominee and Joe Biden as the Democratic nominee, please rate your willingness to vote for a third-party candidate for president on a scale of 1 to 7, with 1 meaning you would certainly vote for a third-party candidate, 7 meaning you would definitely not vote for one, and 4 meaning you're completely neutral.
7.
Regardless of who you're voting for, does the following statement make you more or less likely to vote for Joe Biden, or would it not impact your vote? While China has been stealing American jobs and lying to the international community about coronavirus, Joe Biden has been defending them. He even opposed travel restrictions from China to stop the spread of the virus and called it, quote, hysteria.
Could you repeat the question?
Would the following statement make you more or less likely to vote for Joe Biden, or would it not impact your vote?
Likely.
Somewhat or very?
Very.
I'm going to read you a short list of statements. Please tell me if you agree or disagree with the following statement. President Trump has assembled a well-qualified group of doctors, scientists, and economic experts to deal with this unprecedented world crisis. He and his team are slowing the spread of the virus and steadying the economy. Agree or disagree?
Disagree.
Strongly or somewhat?
Strongly.
Overall, I think the Trump administration is doing a better job than the media gives them credit for. Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
Disagree.
Strongly or somewhat?
Strongly. Yeah, I need to go soon.
I understand. Just a few more questions. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay.
By nominating Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh, President Trump has helped put two conservative justices on the Supreme Court. Do you think you are likely to support or oppose Donald Trump's next potential nomination of a justice to the Supreme Court?
No, I think I would very likely oppose.
Now I have just a few more questions for background and statistical purposes only. Generally speaking, do you think of yourself as a Republican, a Democrat, a Libertarian, a Green Party, or an Independent, or something else?
Democrat, I suppose? Yeah, Democrat.
Did you say
Yeah.
Democrat?
Yeah, Democrat, yeah.
Would you call yourself a strong Democrat or a not very strong Democrat?
Not very strong.
Is your racial or ethnic heritage white, black, Hispanic, Asian, or something
White.
else? And what year were you born?
1982.
Could you repeat that? I apologize.
1982.
Finally, in terms of your household phone usage, do you have a landline only, a cell phone only, or both a landline and a cell phone?
Cell phone only.
Partners, this is a closed-ended question that's also a multi-ask. With your multi-ask questions, they may be set up differently, but you always proceed with them the same way. You read your question, filling in the blanks with the first word, name, or phrase, reading that sentence in its entirety, recording your respondent's answers. Then, partners, you read that question again, filling in the blanks or blank with the next word, name, or phrase from your grid, recording your respondent's answer, and finally reading that question again with the final word, name, or phrase used to fill in that blank and recording your responses. As you're reading those questions word for word, partners, you must also provide those answer choices. If your respondent interrupts you with the first answer choice you provide, please record that answer, but you must also read all answer choices, not to bias your survey. This is how you would handle that
We are
interruption.
Michigan City's Education Association, which is a group of 31 school districts who have come together to improve educational opportunities for Michigan students. Which school district does your child attend? Battle Creek Public Schools.
Kalamazoo.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I have to read all of the responses to you, even if I pass up your actual answer.
You also will have open-ended questions in some of your surveys, partners. You read the question to your respondent, type their answer into that text box word for word. Don't add to or take away from what they said. Please be sure to type those answers in first person. I think, I feel, I choose. If something is unclear, ask the respondent to repeat the last thing they said. You'll have a chance to review and clean up the answer after the call is over for grammar, spelling, and punctuation. Pro tip, partners, you may need to ask probing questions to get at least 2 to 3 sentences from your respondent when you have an open-ended question. Examples of probing are what else, what others, what are some other reasons, and why else? Questions that cannot easily be answered by yes or no.